This guy here is under the impression that there was directed energy weapons. I struggle with a lot of these videos because even when I agree with them, I they always have a background music which I really don't like. I think it's unnecessary, and it's a kind of propaganda technique. And when you are trying to present the truth, or even when you are presenting the truth, even though I know we want to make an impact, we need to be aware of not using the tricks that they use against us. We really want to be objective, just use honest presentation, and that would be the way forward. Um, so I'm absolutely certain that the Hawaii fires um, are deliberate. They are not anything to do with climate change, although they are geoengineering. That's to a certain that would be considered man-made climate change. It's not carbon dioxide or human activity. I do think humans need to be more respectful to the environment, less rubbish, and think about our journeys. Do we need to make them? Could we make them on foot or bicycle or something? It would be beneficial for everything like that, but we don't need to purchase electric vehicles from China and all the rest of it. That's just crazy. But anyway, now it's very interesting what President Biden said, because apparently they didn't turn on the sirens. They have sirens in Hawaii, in Maui, which are supposed to alert the residents to like tsunamis and things like that. And for some reason they weren't used. And the guy in charge of the emergency management, who apparently had no previous experience, kind of convenient, um, you know, the guy in charge of the emergency management um, didn't use them. He claimed that, to use them would send people into the path of the fire or something. Well, I mean, you're alerted to an event. That's what the point is. I mean, obviously what people do once they're alerted is another matter, but you may not even know there's a fire coming towards you. So isn't it better that you know, and then you can make a decision? At least you're alerted to it. That's the point of sirens. It doesn't exactly tell you what to do. It's like a fire alarm. If there is a fire, and most fire alarms unfortunately are false alarms, well, I guess fortunately, but false alarms are very, very common, sometimes quite often deliberate. But anyway, so they didn't do that. I mean, FEMA is a criminal organization. They're not there to protect American people. They usually create the problems that the American people have to face. It's not quite as bad in Europe yet. We do have serious problems with our government, sadly. A lot of people don't seem to understand that governments, I mean, it's not like the government don't do any good stuff, because they do. This creates a confusion in people's minds, but they lace the good stuff with all kinds of bad stuff too, which people don't understand, don't want to understand actually. I mean, the public don't dare not, I mean, are kind of trained from birth not to think about things. A lot of people believe that ignorance is bliss, actually, that is a fact. Well, it says the truth may shock you. First of all, I mean, no one actually knows the truth. The truth is a destination that we never can reach, but some of us are trying to get there. It's a journey, and some of us want to know what's going on, and the vast majority of people sadly don't want to know what's going on. They just depend upon the media, the mass media, the media owned by billionaires, to kindly inform them of what's happening. I mean, that's not going to happen. That doesn't mean that every random video you see online by a so-called conspiracy theorist is true. Many theories are wrong, but there is certainly some things happening in the world that we are not being told about, and that the media are deliberately misinforming us. Well, I mean, Journalists are not paid to tell us the truth. They're told to tell us a story. But people have got such enormous confidence in the television. I mean, if I was on TV, many people who are currently totally ignoring me would listen to me because I'm on the TV, you know? And that's the problem. You know, that's why this channel here on YouTube gets almost no hits, right? You know, people with something to say, honest people with something to say, not people who know it all. We don't know it all. We're looking for the truth. In fact, the more you know, the less you know. It is a Pandora's box. You're going down the rabbit hole. The degree of deception in our world is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal um, how much lies we're told. And about our history. I mean, again, many things in history we take for granted. Not just recent history. I mean, things that allegedly happened hundreds of years ago. Do we know they're true? Well, no, we don't. They might be true. I mean, clearly things did happen in the past, but they're just interpreted for us by the books we're given and who wrote those books. There's no one alive who's a witness to any of this stuff. Architecture and tapestries and paintings and hieroglyphics and cave, but you know, again, most of this is interpreted. I mean, I don't know how to read hieroglyphics. Um, but anyway, there's no doubt about it. In my opinion, it's pretty clear that these Maui fires were started deliberately and that they are not climate change. They were not started. Climate change can't start a fire. Even if the temperature rises by 0.01% or something, that doesn't start a fire. Even winds can fan a fire, but the fire has to be started already. Winds can't fan a fire, and of course, winds are often accompanied by rain, and generally high winds are often in cooler temperatures. But a fire has to start, and that might potentially cause a fire. But if you look at the damage, I mean, it's a bit like 9/11 and the toasted vehicles. Those vehicles often were quite far away from the World Trade Center, and they obviously had been damaged, destroyed by, I mean, the tires were fine. I think the tires were fine. I mean, the door handles were fine, but the rest of it was burnt out. So maybe it was a composition of the door handles. I don't know. There's something odd going on in the world. I mean, that everybody should be able to see that, even if you don't know, even if you're not the type of person who wants to look deeply into issues and try and find out what's really going on. And yes, of course, we do use our computers, for example, as a window into the world. And in this window, you can hunt around for the truth, but also you'll be confronted by enormous distractions and deceptions. Mainstream media, official versions of events, the guys wearing ties, the trusted voices, the guys that people look up, Dan Rather types, these avuncular people who people kind of feel as if they know because they've been on the TV for so long. So yeah, I mean, you have to use a lot of discretion. You have to read between the lines to find out what's going on in the world. But there is also a land grab going on, and of course lessons will be learnt, but it's the lessons they want us to learn. So they're telling us what to do. They're telling us what to do. So, excuse me. Yep. Yep, it is a bit of a shock. Now, here's something that I find very interesting. President Biden, August the 14th. We're laser focused on getting aid to survivors. Laser focused. A what? $700 payment per household. $700 payment, but you've lost your house. You've lost your house, a household. Supposing you've got 5 children. How, 7 of you, and it's $100. How long is that going to last in Hawaii, which is a really expensive place? Don't forget, Hawaiians vote for this fucking idiot, this bloody pervert, IRA supporter. What a twat this guy! I mean, unbelievable. How anybody in America thinks that this guy got a lot more votes than Obama, I really do not know. But unfortunately, we live in a world of total morons. But laser focused. I mean, this was, I mean, first of all, I don't think Biden writes his own tweets. He gets his staffers to write. But honestly, what kind of language is it? Laser focused. Especially when many people are suggesting that it was directed energy weapons. If it's laser focused, that is a hint that this is what it was. And that's how they tell us. Here's something else I want to show you. Now here's a stage picture. Why no sirens? Why no sirens? Hawaiian. And if you look at this picture here, there's a woman on the left here, I'm guessing that's a woman, judging by the hair, with a Star of David tattoo. So this is it. Kind of, they always place a little symbolism into a picture to sort of explain what's going on. Why no sirens? And there's I mean, it could even be that that's photoshopped on, but that tattoo isn't there by chance. That's a placed tattoo, perhaps, probably indicating the kind of people who might possibly be involved in all this. They can burn people out and take their property, whether it's confiscation of farms in the Netherlands or fires, dodgy fires that take away people's land. Now I have to say that the general American mainland view of Hawaii is pretty negative. The weather's beautiful, and it's a beautiful location, but generally speaking, the locals are pretty unwelcoming to tourists, even though they mostly depend on tourist money to keep the whole thing going. Cost of living in Hawaii is very high. Ships from Asia with products usually go to the United States first, the mainland, and then come back to Hawaii. So everything costs a lot more in Hawaii. But on the other hand, they have beautiful weather. But I don't, I mean, why no sirens? Obviously, sirens are designed to alert people to an incoming event, and therefore there is no logical explanation as to why you wouldn't use them. I mean, if you don't use sirens for this, what would you use them for? And so therefore, that in itself is suspicious. And the fact that the guy who ran the emergency operation had no experience. Why would someone with no experience be chosen? For an emergency, you would want the fire chief or the police chief or somebody with military experience and so on, who'd worked in danger zones around the world, who might be able to offer the right approach. Or someone like me with good critical thinking skills, do the best he could. Maybe you don't need any experience really, you just need to be intelligent. Find people with intelligence to do the job, and people who are not bribable, people who are not corrupt. I'd work hard. I'd do a good job for my salary. I wouldn't require brown envelopes or something. And yet the thing is, there are people out there who are actually lots of psychopaths and people without any morality, who would actually, people sitting in offices, pressing buttons, causing fires, creating carnage. But do the Hawaiian people understand what's going on? And then, Hollywood actors are telling the vital tourists, don't come. Why? Well, he's got a good income. His job isn't affected. He doesn't work in a hotel. So, this is all very wrong, what's happening in the world. All very, very wrong.